Good morning. This is Matt Sexton with the Florida Department of Transportation's Production Support Office. Welcome to today's webinar, which is part 5 of our Getting Started with FDOT Connect for Open Roads Designer. Today we're going to be covering the plans development workflow. Your presenter is Chris Thorp. And of course, there is a question and answer dialogue in which you can enter your questions if you have any questions as we go along. I do have the production support CAD office staff here to answer your questions as we go. However, if we don't get to answer them immediately in real time, we will take some time towards the end of the webinar to go over questions that we haven't answered. If, of course, we can't answer the question at all during the webinar, we will be compiling these questions and answers into a Q&A dialogue, which will be posted along with a recording of this webinar on our website. If you've attended these webinars before, you know that we have a posted webinar section of our website where you can view the recordings of the webinars as well as the Q&A documents and other relevant information. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Chris, and he is going to talk to you about the FDOT Connect plans development workflow. Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks, Matt. Good morning, everybody. So like Matt was saying, this is part 5 in the webinar series. So we're going to go over the plan development workflow a little bit. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to go through a little bit of a PowerPoint, and then we'll get right into a live demo. So what we're going to be covering today with the plans prep is we're going to go over the key sheet, plan only sheets, plan and profile sheets, and cross-section sheets. And again, kind of continuing with the overview, I guess, of these webinars. We're not going to dive too deep into detail with these, just kind of an overview of everything. So the main tool that is used for cutting sheets in Open Roads Designer is what's called the name boundary tool. And so as you can see on the screen, there's a little screen cap of the different modes within that name boundary tool. We've got a civil plan, civil profile, civil cross sections, and so on. The 4 on the left are the ones that are going to be dealing with obviously your civil stuff. So a lot of those are going to be run based off of an alignment. And then the one for the key sheet, we'll be using the from drawing boundary tool. With Open Roads, we're going to be doing sheets primarily 2 different ways, with one exception. Pretty much everything is going to be done, or everything that will be used, that will be using an alignment, we're going to use the name boundary tool. The only exception to that is the key sheet, where we'll still be using the name boundary with the from drawing boundary mode. All of the other sheets, like your one-off sheets, your general notes sheet, your signature sheets, typical section sheets, and sheets like that, what we've done, and I think Vern touched on this a little bit in the last webinar, is we've written actions into our create file tool, and I'll kind of show some of those in a little bit when we get into the software. And what that's going to do is actually create a sheet model in those files, so that it'll just open you up in that sheet model, and you'll be able to just go ahead and place your notes or whatever you need to place in that file. So just kind of a little review. One of the big changes with the Open Roads software is the interface. And so we've moved to a ribbon interface. And these images here just kind of go over the different parts of the ribbon, and I guess what their naming is. So at the top there, you've got your ribbon workflows. And again, I'll show some of that once we get into the software. You've got your quick access toolbar, your ribbon tabs, and then the help over there on the right. And then the names at the bottom is your ribbon group names. Probably one of my favorite features with the whole ribbon interface is that search bar. So if there's a tool that you had in, if there's a civil tool that you had in SS4 that had the Open Roads technology, if you remember that tool or kind of know what it was named but can't find it in Open Roads, the search bar is going to be your friend. So definitely recommend just searching for anything you can't find. It does make life a lot easier with the transition from SS4. So starting off, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the key sheet. And so in SS4, we had what was called a key map sheet clipping tool. That has gone away. That was an in-house tool that we've decided not to carry forward. Instead, like I mentioned, we're going to be using pretty much all of the native Bentley tools for sheet creation. And the place named boundary is the name of that tool that we'll be using for pretty much all of our sheets. And in the case of the key sheet, it'll be that from drawing boundary tool. So then we're going to get into plan only sheets. And again, they'll be using the name boundary tool. In Open Roads, there are specialized civil options available for all the sheets that we'll be cutting using the alignment. And these are the two dialog boxes that we'll see as we're cutting our sheets. The first one being the place name boundary dialog. And with that one, you'll go and you'll select your alignment. And we've set up drawing seeds. So you'll basically just pick your drawing seed. And then if you need to change your detail scale, you can set that to the scale to match your drawing. And then based on the seed that we've set or that we've created, it sets the length and the offsets of what'll be your clipping boundaries. And then once all that's set up, you'll get your create drawing. And again, all of that was set up in that drawing seed file. So there shouldn't be anything that you'll really need to change on the create drawing dialog. And then plan over profile sheets. These are a two-step process. So first what we'll do is we'll clip out the plan sheets. And with that one, we're not going to create the drawings at that time. Once we've got those drawing boundaries laid out, what we'll do is we'll go in and cut sheets for the profile as well. And then from the profile, what we'll do is we'll actually create our sheets. And then this is that create drawing dialog that we'll get once we do our plan over profile. And again, there shouldn't really be anything that'll need to be changed in this if you coming from the seed. If you'll note, there are some annotation groups that we've created. So they'll go ahead and annotate some of the basic information for, say, your plan and also for your profiles. And then finally, we'll get into cross-section sheets a little bit. Again, using the name boundary tool. And also with these, we have set up some annotation groups to again label some of your typical cross-section labels. I know we've got pavement slope on there, and I believe we've got edge of pavement elevations, and I can show you guys those once we get into it a little bit more. We are kind of looking at maybe adding some more to those based on feedback that we get, but right now it's just kind of some basic labels that we know are pretty regularly labeled on cross sections. So that's the PowerPoint. Now we'll jump right into the actual software. And so I've already got Open Roads open. And so I'm in, kind of as we've mentioned in some of the previous webinars, how we're going to have files created is in your work set. If it's created correctly using the work set template that we deliver, you'll get a blank file DGN in every new work set that you create. So what you're going to do is go into that file, and then from there you'll launch the create file application to create your QC compliant files. And just kind of as I mentioned earlier about some of the general sheets. So what we've done, so basically for example, the project notes sheet, what we've done is we've added a key in action down here to the bottom to create a sheet model in that file named general notes. And so with the sheet model seeds that we've created, we've already placed in the border. So once it creates that sheet model, you'll already have your border in there for you. So let me close that, and I've already got my files created. So the first one we're going to do is we'll go in and look at the key sheet. So in my roadway folder, so now that I'm in my key sheet file, the first thing we want to do is go in and attach our PDF map of the county that our project is in. So also one of the cool things that I have found in Open Roads is there's a pop-up menu that you can access, and it's just by hitting the space bar. And it'll pop up, basically these are all microstation commands. And so the second one here is your primary tools group, or is your primary ribbon group. And so what that does, if I come over here to the Home tab, it kind of gives me a pop-up of this whole group right here at my cursor. So I'll hit the space bar to bring that up, open that up, and what I want to do, like I said, is I want to attach my PDF map. So when the reference attached properties comes up, what I want to make sure I do is set the detail scale to full size 1=0. Hit OK on that. And then I'll do a fit view. Sometimes you have to zoom in and out. We have found that there are a good number of display bugs in this so far, and we've mentioned them to Bentley, so we're working with Bentley as far as getting some of those resolved. So here's my map, and if you don't have your map, if you don't know where the maps are, on the FDOT tab under our resources group, in the FDOT links, we actually have the county maps available there. So if I select the county maps button, it'll kick me out to the internet, and it'll kick me out to the surveying and mapping general highway maps. And so for these, typically what we've been grabbing is the middle column, the color PDF. So the one that I have is this, the Wakulla job, so waku-c.pdf. And that's only because they're smaller files than some of the new format PDFs, so they tend to load a little bit quicker. So close that out. So now that I have my map in here, what I want to do is come over to the Drawing Production tab, and like I mentioned earlier, the Name Boundary tool. So with the split button tools, what we have is the top is like the primary action that's already set. The bottom half gives you the drop down of different options available for that button. So my Place Name Boundary tool being the default, that's already the one up here at the top. So I can hit the drop down and select it here, or I can just click on the button up top. So for our key sheets, what I want to do is I want to select the From Drawing Boundary option. So, and that'll give me the options for that one. So the drawing boundary that I want to use, again, these are all seed files that we've set up, is the key map layout. And we've got a couple different ones set up for this. We've got the key map layout, and if you'll notice there, we also have a key map layout federal. And so if you remember from SS4, we had two different cells for your key sheets, one that had 4 federal funds and one without. And so by not using cells in ORD for our key sheets, we just went ahead and created these 2 different seed files. So depending on if your project has federal funds or not, that'll kind of dictate which seed file you use for your key map. So I'm just going to select the key map layout, the top one. And you can give it a name if you want to. I'm just going to leave it blank for now. You can also give it a description. And then the detail scale, what I want to do is I want to set that to, I'm going to set that to 1 to 30. So I did notice that something's not working on this one. Or I know what it was because I didn't run the create. So I messed up a little bit here. But whenever you do create the key map using the create file, what it'll do is it'll set your level and also set the line weight. And so what I want to do is, so it'll set it for this box right here. And we did that so if you noticed before you couldn't really see a box because I had left it on, it was on default level with 0 and 1 colors and weights. So what we did was we set that action in here to set the level to the clip drawing bound. And then we also set the weight of 4 so that you can just kind of see it easier as you're trying to place it. And going back to the detail scale, typically what you'll use for these, probably depending on the size of the project, is either a 20, 30, or 40. And kind of the thinking behind this was based on the SS4 tool. If you remember, you had small, medium, and large, and that would give you similarly different size boxes depending on, again, the size of your project. So that's all this is for. It just gives you the size of the box. So I'm just going to use a 30 because that'll fit my project in there just fine. So then I want to center my project in there and just left click to place it. And now I've got my create drawing dialog box. And the one thing on this, in the PowerPoint, I was saying you won't have to change pretty much anything on here. The exception is with the key map, you do want to make sure that your create drawing model, this section right here, that you set this scale to match whatever it is that you set your detail scale to. So now I've got that set to match. I'll click OK, and that's going to go out and create my sheet. And again, another display bug is just kind of zoom in, zoom out, just kind of tweak your display a little bit if your map doesn't show up in there. So once we've got our key sheet created, it's pretty much going to be the same method as filling everything out as it was in SS4. Back on the FDOT tab, we do still have LDM, so we'll be using that for the index, so the index of our roadway plans. And so what I've done is I've launched LDM, so I'll just add a new link, and I believe I've already got one text file created. I don't in here. I do have one that I had created for Flug. So I'll just create a new template, and it's going to be a text note template. And so for this one, I just want to grab my sheet index for roadway, click OK, and it's going to ask me to save it. And I'll just save that in my roadway folder. And again, you can just give it a description if you like. And then once that's all filled out, just click OK. And now I've got my index attached to my cursor. And currently we don't have a snap point in there, so it's just kind of eyeballing it right now. We do have an enhancement on our product backlog in-house to just throw a snap point in there so it makes it easier. But for now, just kind of eyeball it and then left click to place it. And then as with everything with LDM, what you'll do is you'll go to that actual source file and modify this list, and then it'll update once you come back into your key sheet. So I'll close LDM. And then again, with the components of contract plan set and pretty much most of the rest of the stuff in here, it's going to be cells. And what we have done with Open Roads Designer, or with the FDOT Connect, is we've added a lot to the right click and hold context menu. So we've got our link data manager here. We've got our range and township label cells. So I'll just click on the range map label. And what that'll do is it'll pop up the place active cell with my range label attached to it. So then you can come in here and just place that, and then place it at the bottom as you would for your key sheet. So the same thing with the component list. We've got that attached to there. And what we've done with that one is we've set the snap point on that to the border right up here, the top left corner. on our sheet border. So we'll just place that, and then again, once it's placed, you can just open it up and edit that list depending on the actual components that you'll have in your project. So essentially after that, again, just editing the key sheet is pretty much the same. As far as labeling the location on the map, that has changed because Geopack Labeler has gone away. So what we've done is, back on the Drawing Production tab, we've set up some labels using text favorites and dimension styles. So to label my begin and end project, what we've done, so I'll launch the Place Label tool, and on the Place Label Settings tool, I want to place mine with a leader. So we'll set the type to text favorite, select the favorite name, no, I'm sorry, not the place label, place note. Place label is your civil label tool. What that does is that'll kind of read civil properties off of your alignment. So on your alignment, we've got it set up with begin and end projects. So you can just select your alignment and it will dynamically label the stationing on there. So for the key sheet, what I want to do is I want to launch the place note tool. So for the dimension style, I want to set that to FDOT key sheet begin project. And then I also need to set my text style. And so I'm going to set that to our FDOT small. And so I'll just type in begin project and give it a station. So then I'll just come in and label on the map. And one thing we've done is we set the leader and the arrow on these. The reason there's a difference for specifically the key sheet is we set these to black because we noticed when we were doing some testing, the white labels were kind of disappearing within most of the maps. So there's begin project and end project is set up the same way. The only difference is it uses our end arrow. So one other thing, to label pretty much on the sheet, everything on the sheet is just going to be text editor except for our financial project ID, the actual name of the county. So to do that, what I want to do is I want to open up my Explorer, and that's going to be done in our sheet index. So what I want to do is I want to go to the sheet index tab on my Explorer, and then I'll need to open that sheet index for editing. And then what I need to do is I need to come over and open the model dialog, and I need to actually drag the sheet model into the roadway folder. And if you'll notice down in the corner down here, it also gave it a sheet number. And because I'd already done some testing on this sheet index, if you'll notice, the financial project ID and the county number also got filled out when I added that in there. And those are added in the sheet index properties. So what you'll do is you'll launch your sheet index properties, and you can enter your state road number, your project ID, and your county name. And these will also be populated similarly in all of the other sheet borders down in the title block at the bottom. If you drag those into the sheet index into the roadway folder, or actually any folder for these properties will fill it out within any folder. And then we've set up different sheet number prefixes depending on the component that you're in. But this is how we're going to label those three items in those sheets. So I'll just hit OK on that, and then I'll just close the Explorer and close that out. So that's kind of an overview on key sheet. So now let me jump over to a plan sheet that I've got set up, and we'll cut some plan only sheets. Back into there. There we go. So I've already got this file set up. All I've done is basically attached my DSG and RD with live nesting. So we're seeing the alignment that's attached to that and the serve RD as well that is attached to those. So what I want to do in my plan RD sheet, first thing I want to do is I want to annotate my alignment so that that'll show up on my sheets. And to do that, I'll come again to the Drawing Production tab. And this tool right here, the element annotation, again, the drop down, so I want to annotate my element. And if you'll notice on the cursor, it's asking me for the element that I want to annotate. So let me select the alignment and then reset to complete. And my alignment is now annotated. So once I've done that, what I want to do is I want to come into up here and just do a save settings. And what that'll do is that'll save the settings so that if I close this file and come back into it, the alignment will still be annotated. So now that I've done that, what I want to do is I want to run my name boundary tool. And this time I want to select the civil plan option. And so what that does, what that's done is given me some more options on here. So the drawing seed, again from the top, what we want to select is plan only. And that set my length and offsets of these sheets. And I'm at a 50 scale, so I'm going to leave that alone. Again, the name, you can give it a name if you want to. I'm not going to right now. So what I want to do, and if you're ever not sure what the tool is asking you for, always come down here to the bottom left and it'll tell you what it's asking for. So right now it wants me to identify the path element that I'm going to cut my sheets along. So I'll select my alignment. And now if you'll notice, and you can maybe very faintly see it, there's kind of a faded red line right there. And what that is that's the starting point for where the sheets are going to begin. So now that I have my alignment selected, I can do one of two things. I can just place it dynamically in the drawing, or I can come up here and check on start station, enter start station, or I can click this button here at the end and that'll lock to the beginning station. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it to the beginning, and I'm also going to lock it to the end. So once I've filled out my dialog box, I'll still have to come over to the actual drawing and just left click through all of those settings. And you'll probably have to left click a few times to get it to set up. And then once it does, again, you'll get your create drawing. And everything is as I want it based on the seed, so I'm not going to modify anything in this one. So what I'll do is I'll click OK, and that's going to cut my sheets for me. And so anytime you cut sheets in Open Roads, what it'll do is it'll place you in the last sheet that it created. So there's my sheet 4. I'll just come to sheet 2 right here. A couple things I want to show you guys. If you noticed on the create drawing, there was the plan annotation group, and what that is, we've set our north arrow, and this is where we're kind of going to get into a few of the display bugs, display issues that we have found as we've been testing. And again, Bentley is aware of these, and we've been told that they'll be fixed in an upcoming release. So probably not the one that's about to come out, but hopefully the one after that. So what it is to get this to read our correct drawing scale, what I need to do is I need to switch to the drawing model. And if you'll notice, it did update, but if you also notice, there's nothing in my drawing model. So that's kind of freaky at first, but there is a kind of a quick workaround. So what we need to do, and actually I just found something. So if you hover over, you notice everything is there. Like I said, it's just a display bug. So to get everything to show up, what we want to do is we want to actually just file and close. So we close out of the file. We don't have to completely exit Open Roads, but then just come back into that file and everything will be there. So again, it just takes it a second to load up because it's got to go load all the resources that we've got. And seemingly like magic, all of our stuff shows up there. So, and I wanted to come to the plan two to kind of go over a little bit of the curve data. Let me jump back to my design model, because if you'll notice in the design model, it placed it, but it's not rotated in that view. And what we've done is we've set it so that it rotates in accordance with the actual sheet. So it's not going to be rotated in your design model. And we don't recommend rotating it in here because that will throw it off in your sheet models. So whenever the sheets and drawing models are cut, what it does is it creates references from your design model. So this is a reference of that design model. In order to move it or manipulate it within the drawing model, which is where we're recommending all of the labeling be done in your drawing model, what I want to do is I want to see that this is reference plan 2. So what I want to do is I want to just go activate that reference from within this drawing model. So I'll activate that. And now I can move my curve data to wherever I need it to be. And then once I've done that, I'll just deactivate that reference. So if you've got it sitting on, like I had it sitting on this terrain line, or if it's just in an area where it's cluttered, you can just kind of move it to where it needs to be. And so let me come back to plan sheet 1. Also part of our alignment annotation groups that we've set up is it'll place the bearing and tangent lines. So the place label tool I touched on in the key sheet accidentally. So, but that one will actually be used, like I said, for alignments. So to use that one, I just launched place label from the drawing production tab. And what I want to do is I want to set the type to text favorite. And I want to set my favorite name to begin project. And I'll set my dimension style to FDOT begin project. And that dimension style, what it's done is we've set that to use the correct begin arrow. So I'll just place that. Now I've got everything selected on here. So what I want to do is I want to select the alignment that I want to place the label on. Oops. I want to do all of this in the drawing model because that tool doesn't work in your sheet model. So again, let me just set all that up. Begin project, and that's the correct style. So again, let me select the alignment, and it's highlighted. So now I want to select where I'm going to actually place that label. So I'll just select one of my tick marks here. And if you'll notice when you're deciding where you want the label to be, it looks like it's not quite working. But once you actually place the label, it'll read your stationing on there. So that's just kind of a general overview on the plan only sheets. Now we can jump into kind of just a real quick, I guess, plan and profile sheet. And again, this is a file that I've previously set up. It's a blank file with just design file. So again, just a blank file with references attached. So what I want to do is I want to, again, annotate the alignment. and do my save settings. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and open up my profile view. And we do still have some of the view function keys in FDOT Connect. However, after having been in there for a little while, I've kind of gotten used to and really like the right-click context view control tools. So there's a two views plan profile. So that's the one I want to select. And what it's going to do is it's going to open a second view, and it's also going to prompt me to select the element that I want for a profile view. So I'll click OK on that. And I'm going to select my alignment and then select that new view that it opened. So with plan and profile or profile sheets, you will have to have an actual profile view open. And it looks like it's wanting to give me some issues right now. So let me try that again. Two views, plan profile. Okay. My plan element and my view. There we go. So now that I've got my profile view open, what I want to do is again launch the name boundary tool. So this time for my civil plan, the drawing seat I want to select is plan over profile top. So, and this is another bug that we have recently discovered. If you'll notice down in my length and offsets, those ending numbers should not be there. So that's going to cause me issues. So what I need to do is I need to actually close out of the software completely. So let me launch the software again, and I'll come back into my file. So again, just got to load all the resources to open back up. And closing and reopening should fix it. I think there have been times where I have had to run Workspace Doctor to actually clear that up completely. So let's try it again. There we go. So plan over profile top. And again, notice that these are correct down here. So what I want to do is I want to actually uncheck create drawing, because what we'll do is we'll create the drawing whenever we cut the profile sections. So I want to activate my plan view, and then I want to select my alignment. And again, I'll just lock it to the begin and end stations. And then just left click to have those placed in there. So now that I've got those done, what I want to do is again come to the name boundary tool. This time I'm going to select the civil profile group. And for the drawing seed, what I want to do is I want to select plan over profile bottom. So, and the method that we want to use, because we want to do plan and profile sheets on the same piece of paper, is I want to select from plan group. So what that'll do is I don't have to go out and set stations or anything like that. It'll automatically find and read the stationing from the plan group that we had just created. So I'll set from plan group. And this time I want to make sure and check on create drawing. And again, all these settings down here we have set by default within this seed. So now what I want to do is I want to activate my profile view again, and then just select my profile. And if you'll notice, you can probably kind of see them. They're very faint just because they haven't been actually placed yet. Those four boundaries that are going to show where the profile sheets are going to be. So I'll left click again, and I'll actually place them in there, and then I'll get my create drawing. So again, I didn't change any scales or anything like that, so I'm just going to leave everything as is. So I'll click OK on that, and it's going to go ahead and cut my sheets for me. So again, it kicked me out to the last sheet. So and I'll just jump into a profile drawing just to kind of show With the annotation group, what it does, we've set up again some annotation groups to label pretty much the stuff that was being labeled manually before in SS4, what you had to go and label yourself. We've set that up so it'll read the alignment or read the profile and actually place them in there. We have noticed that sometimes it doesn't respect the clip boundary necessarily. So there will be still some cleanup that you'll have to come in here and do. So with this coming over here, you can just select it and then just move it in so it's cleaner. You can also trim that line if you want to, just a little bit of extra cleanup. And again, we have the same display issues with the plan part of it. And again, with the north arrow, you'll just have to come into your model, or I'm sorry, your drawing model to have that update. So if I go to, I believe this is plan 1. So let me go to the plan 1 sheet. You'll now notice that it's actually in the correct location, or correct scale, I'm sorry. And again, if you need to move it, that'll need to be done in the drawing model. And unfortunately, we have found that just doing it in one model does not update all of them. So at this time, you will have to go into each plan model or each drawing model to have that automatically update. You'll only have to do it the one time, but unfortunately, like I said, you will have to do it for every drawing model. So again, the display issue with the plan stuff not coming up. There was another bug that we were recently informed about within these plan and profile or profile sheets, the profile disappearing after you close the file or anything like that. So I've done some testing on that, and what I have found was if you close the file the first time within a profile drawing model, you should be okay. So, well, because, and I say that because to get the plan stuff to show up again, you have to close the file. So what I found in my testing was if I close it in a profile drawing model, that those profiles have still been there when I came back. Of course, with this being a live demo, who knows if that'll be the case. So we'll just test that real quick. And it is still there. So like I said, I recommend any plan and profile sheets or any profile sheets that you cut the first time. Initially, whenever you close it, make sure you're in a drawing model. And so if I jump over to one of my plan models, all of that has shown up now. And then I can come in and just move the north arrow kind of out of the way. So that's just kind of a quick overview of plan and profile. I know we're starting to kind of run down on time. So I'll jump into the cross section real quick. And then if there's time, I'll take a look at the questions and see if we still have any outstanding. So again, just a blank file, but I've gone ahead and attached those same design files, alignment, and everything like that. And with this one, I went ahead and set up my 3D view. With cross sections, in order to cut your cross section sheets, similar to the plan and profile ones, you will have to have a second view open. In this case, you'll have to have your 3D view open to do your cross section sheets. So what I want to do with that view already open, again, I'm just going to run my name boundary tool. So this time I want to select the fourth one, which is the civil cross section option. And right now we just have the one drawing sheet set up at a 1:20. And again, that sets all of my offsets. So now what I want to do in my plan view is, again, I want to select my alignment. And then I'll just set, with this one I'm not going to snap or lock to the beginning and the end because it is going to cut quite a few sections. So now that I've got my alignment selected, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my start station to 700. And you'll notice once you type it in there and you tab, if you haven't checked this on, it'll automatically check it if you're setting a station. So I'll set my stop station as well, do 710, tab, and then come back over to my plan view and I'll left click to accept that. And again, you'll kind of see the faint drawing or the faint lines of where it's going to cut those sections. So then I'll just go ahead and left click through. And if you'll notice, it did populate the 3D model with those drawing boundaries as well. And so I'm not going to change anything in here. So I'll just click OK. And now it's going to run through and just cut those sections. And depending on the amount of sections you have, and of course your computer's hardware, all that, it can be quick, it can be fast. It just depends on the number of cross sections and the speed of your machine. So again, kick me to the last sheet. So I'll just zoom in, and like I mentioned earlier, we've got some annotation groups set up to where it goes ahead and labels the pavement slope. We've got sidewalk slope on here as well. And then if it looks like if your cut fill lines are long enough, it'll label those as well. And then also our edge of pavement elevations. So again, you can come back to your drawing model and just do a little bit of cleanup if some of your labels are overlapping. We do have an annotation group set up as well for end area volumes, but it's again kind of another bug where it'll work sometimes and not work sometimes. So I'll run through real quick on the process to get those, but the table that we have most likely is not going to show up. So what I want to do, and also this will kind of let me show as well. So if you've cut name boundaries or drawing boundaries and you don't like them and you want to get rid of them and cut them again, it's kind of a multi-step process. So what you need to do is come to drawing production, and at the bottom of the drawing or the name boundary group name, there's a little manager flyout. So click on that, and then that'll open up your name boundary manager. So with the cross sections, what I want to do is I want to come in, expand that out, select my name boundary group, and then just delete those out. It's going to delete any saved views or anything associated with it as well. So just click on yes. And if you'll notice now, they are gone from the model. And I'll just do a quick zoom in, zoom out to adjust the plan view as well. And then we will also need to make sure that we delete out those models. So just open up your model dialog, expand it out, and just delete all of those as well. So for the end area volumes, what I want to do is, again, I need to cut my name boundaries. This time I want to make sure that I turn off the create drawing. So I've got all that set up as well. Select my alignment. And this time I'm not going to cut quite as many. So I'll do a 700 start. And we'll say a 705 station end. And then I'll just left click in my plan view. So I've got them placed in there, and they're also shown up in my 3D model. So now what I want to do in order to get those, what I need to do is actually I'll need to create a report. So I'll come back to the Home tab, And under the model and analysis reporting group, under civil analysis, I need to come down and create my cut fill volumes. So I'll select that tool. And it's going to ask me to set a couple feature definitions. And so for the cut, we've named it volumes cut. So I'll left click to accept that. And similarly for the fill, we've got volumes fill. And then I don't want any unsuitable, custom, or substrata. And again, you can set this in the dialog, but you will have to just click through. So then just let it run and compute. Okay, and so it's gone ahead and created my cut and fill shapes on there. So now what I need to do is I need to actually get the report on that. So again, come back to civil analysis, and down here towards the bottom, end area volumes report. So now it's asking me for the name boundary group, and that's going to be the group name of those name boundaries that we've cut. So you can select it from here. It's going to be the CL_SR61. And then I'll just left click to select. And then this one right here, it's asking if I have any exceptions. And I don't have any exceptions in there that I need to add. So I'll just right click to finish that out. And then it's just going to run through and process those boundaries and the cut and fill that are going through those. And so once this finishes, again, we'll go in and actually create our sheets. And I see we've only got 5 minutes left, so I'll take a look at some questions if there's time. If not, like Matt said earlier, we'll definitely pull them down and get them answered, and they'll be posted with the webinar when that gets posted. So now that it's processed those, and I was just informed that I may have been muted there for a little bit, so I apologize for that. So let me come back to a drawing model. And now I don't need this anymore, so I'll close this. And the end area volume table that we've got, like I said, it was set up in an annotation group. So in order to pull that down, what I want to do is I want to do the model annotation, and I want to annotate the model. So for this, I want to annotate all of my drawing models. So I'll set that to yes. And then I want to actually change my annotation group from the XS annotation to our excess EAV table. So now that I've selected that, let me left click and it's going to process that. And like I said, we've been having issues with this showing up at times. So it may or may not show up, and it doesn't look like it did. But what that's going to do is it's going to put a little box in here with the volumes from that report that we created. So I see it's pretty much 11 o'clock now. That's all I have. I guess I'll give it back to Matt or Vern if they have anything to add or to wrap it up, I guess.
Alrighty. Thanks, Chris. We will, because it is 11 o'clock, we're going to go ahead and save these questions in the question and answer dialogue. If we didn't get a chance to answer your question, we'll go ahead and get those questions answered and posted in the Q&A document. Of course, that Q&A document is going to be available from our website. I'll real quick just show you where that is in case you don't already know. So hang on one second. If I can figure out how to make myself presenter. All right. If you go to our website, fdot.gov/CAD, CADD, and select CAD posted webinars, there's a section right here. It says FDOT Connect Open Roads Designer. There's a subsection that says Getting Started with FDOT Connect Webinar Series. If you click that, you'll see all of the previously posted webinars from this series, as well as the presentations in PowerPoint format and the Q&A documents from all the questions and answers that were asked during those webinars. So those will be posted hopefully within about a week. So thank you for joining us today. This was part 5. Next week we will have part 6 of Getting Started with FDOT Connect and Open Roads Designer. Part 6 is going to be Survey Workflow for Designers. You may recall the Survey Workflow for Surveyors was our first webinar. This will be Survey Workflow for Designers. All right, thank you very much.